It's time now for the Todd Leonard Show. Leave those negative stories behind as we focus on the positive and hear from those who give back and help others. Let's start your day with some inspirational stories. Now, here's your host, Todd Leonard.
Good morning, everyone. We have a great show today. We have Linda Graziano. I grew up in Springfield, and I'm so honored to have Linda join us today. And I'm really excited about talking about hope and her incredible book she just created, Canvas of Hope. Linda, are you with us this morning?
Yes, I am, Todd. I'm right here. How are you this morning?
Good morning. How are you feeling? I know I dragged you early this morning to wake up and join us. And you're in Virginia, right?
Yes, I live right outside of Washington, D.C. in a little place called Reston.
Yeah, I heard it's beautiful. I've never had the pleasure of getting out there in Virginia, though. They say Virginia's for lovers, so maybe I could sneak in when no one's looking. So, Linda, I wanted to talk to you today about your, incredible journey. You created a book recently, Canvas of Hope. But before I really talk about the book, I want to talk a little bit about, you're from Springfield originally. I'm from Springfield. We have a number of Bulldog fans out there. I'm hopeful listening this morning. Our great friend Adam Bear Bain, a.k.a. Donald King, a great promoter, was kind enough. We were talking about great people, and your name popped up. So what was it like growing up in Springfield for the folks that don't know much about it?
Well, it was great growing up in Springfield, New Jersey. There was a great community, and I think that it's still a great community. As you know, we all have somewhat stayed connected. What it was like was, leaving your doors unlocked and the car doors unlocked, sometimes even leaving the keys in the car because it was a really safe place to grow up. We had a lot of fun. As you know, I come from a large family, so with that you have, it's never a dull moment in the Graziano household. It was always a lot of fun, so I really enjoyed it. I loved the Bulldogs and all the camaraderie we had around sports. As you know, I was a big athlete, and I really enjoyed playing softball, basketball, and soccer in high school. And I love that I can stay in touch. My whole family's still up there in New Jersey. I'm the only one who moved out of the state, so I'd like to get home, but haven't been home much since, COVID-19.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I was thinking about when you're going to be on the show today, and I was so excited. And I was thinking about Springfield and growing up and about the roots and about community and about just how people keep in contact with many different folks over the years. One of the beautiful things about Facebook are moments like this. So I'm thinking, wow, I could connect with an old friend, Linda Graziano, and other friends that I grew up in Springfield. And like you touched on, it was a different time back then, but still those roots, really ring true for so many, the sense of community and the sense of just togetherness. So, Linda, before we talk about Canvas of Hope and really the importance of hope, and I was thinking about what hope is and what it means for those who really need, a boost, faith, something to believe in, to pick yourself up off the ground. Before we talk about, your wonderful mission now to really lift up others, what kind of work do you do? What's your profession?
Oh, sure. My profession is I have a small business. It's called App Queen, APP Queen. And what we do is we provide apps for small and medium-sized businesses. So these are mobile business apps. And we're sort of pivoting our business right now and focusing on what we can do in terms of apps for restaurants and apps for food trucks, because an app can make it really super easy for people to just place their orders through their mobile app and have their food ready and be notified, so that way it reduces the amount of touch points and also provides a way and a means for the restaurants to stay in touch with their customer base. And in particular food trucks, because they really don't know who they are. They pull up someplace and people come and stand in long lines. And now with the advent of using a mobile business app, they would be able to stay in touch with their customer base and know where and when they're going to be. And they can notify their customers that saying, hey, we're going to be at, near your location on Tuesday from 11:30 to 2, come on out and join us, that sort of thing.
Right. So that's something, obviously, you're up on your technology apps. Everybody has them now on the phone. I mean, it's hard not to, you turned your iPhone on and you have a lot of different apps. It makes the world a lot easier for all of us. I wanted to talk, you mentioned about growing up in Springfield. You obviously had a great family. I know your family were great athletes. I played a lot of sports also growing up. So obviously the Graziano family was well known, for their very athletic family. So I want to talk to you now about, something that's really near and dear to your heart. And I really appreciate you coming on today, Linda, to share your story. It takes a special people to kind of talk about their life. I mean, the good, the bad, the ugly, things happen. Sadly with you, I know that cancer has hit your family very hard. I was thinking also about my own family. I lost my beloved parents. I understand how difficult cancer can be, and unfortunately it strikes so many people. I mean, growing up it was a rare thing. Now so many people are touched by cancer, and it's taken such a horrible toll on so many beautiful, wonderful families. So what was it like, for you growing up when you first, found out about it, that even cancer existed?
Wow, that goes back deep, and actually doing this project, Canvas of Hope, has reminded me and brought up a lot of the feelings that I had when I was just about 9 years old. A younger sibling of mine and I were playing not too far, 2 weeks or so after my oldest sister had gotten married. My younger sister and I were playing, and I discovered a lump on her neck, and within 2 days, she was admitted into Columbia Presbyterian Hospital with stage 4 lymphoma. And she went through a series of, chemotherapy and radiation. And back in the day when, we were just kids, cancer really wasn't spoken of. And I don't know if you remember the movie, the Brian song about Brian, the athlete. And
Brian Piccolo.
That kind of Brian Piccolo.
Right, yeah.
That was early on when, cancer was really taboo. You didn't talk about it. And we really didn't, at 9 years old, didn't really understand the impact that cancer could have on a person. It was many years later when we lost my brother, but back then it was really confusing. It threw the whole family into a turn, upside down. And not only did we, have that, but it was also around the time of the gas and oil crisis of the early 1970s when, it was hard to get gas, and gas was rationed. You had to go odd days or even days depending upon your license plate. And my mother, had to get into the city every single day to go and visit, and take care of my sister in the hospital. And, that was a very challenging time for all of us.
Well, I can only imagine, especially at such a young age. So sadly, you were exposed to cancer in terms of just even knowing about it. Your loved one, your sister had it, and I'm hoping and praying that she was able to get the appropriate treatment and was able to carry on and live a very productive life.
Yes, actually she did. There wasn't. I'm going to share a little bit of the faith story that kind of goes with this. My sister wasn't doing very well, and my mother literally scraped up the pennies and got on a plane and flew over to Lourdes, France, where there's Lourdes. There's where the shepherd girl saw the apparitions of, for those who are Catholic, the Blessed Mother, and they created this beautiful cathedral, and there's this stream of water, and my mother took her on that journey and then visited a faith healer in England and came back, and my sister recovered, not only recovered, but went on and has 2 children, which is truly a miracle.
Well, that's why, I mean, that's the kind of stuff I love to hear. And, you know, it's interesting. Your mother had tremendous faith then and did her very best to obviously get your sister better, which is a beautiful and important healing message as well. So that was your young sister. Now, unfortunately, you have other family members that were also touched by cancer, right?
Yes, I have a brother who had thyroid cancer that was very, easily treated comparatively, and went on to have a child. So that was also a miracle. And then in 2015, my brother Eddie was diagnosed with a grade 4 glioblastoma tumor, and it's one of the deadliest forms of cancer that you can have. And he fought for 30 months, and he was the recipient of some immunotherapy treatments I'll talk about a little bit later. And while he was undergoing, his battle with cancer, another brother was diagnosed with multiple myeloma, which is a form of blood cancer. So that in total makes it 4 out of my immediate 6 siblings. So it's 2 on the younger side and 2 on the older side.
Right, and obviously, my heart goes out to you and the family. I mean, you've gone through so much, and that's one of the wonderful, beautiful things about you, Linda, and about your spirit is that despite these tremendous, obstacles and difficulties, and we're going to talk about, your beloved brother Ed, who you lost in 2018, you've created this really wonderful book, and you've done so much to help raise awareness for the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. In fact, you were nominated for Women of the Year. While the listeners are tuning in today, and I was going through your wonderful book, and I wanted just for people to see it, it's The Canvas of Hope. And it's a beautiful book, and we're going to talk about that in detail. But when you were going through all these things, Linda, obviously you're a very spiritual person, very strong person. Did you ever say, oh, my God, how could this be me? We're good people, and we're God-fearing people, and we really try to do the right thing. Going through that with your, 4 out of your 6 siblings, I mean, did you ever say, oh, my God, why us?
That's a really good question, Todd, and I'm taking a moment to just think about it. It's a hard question to answer, actually, because I don't know that I collectively asked that question. I think that's a very hard question, because I believe that things happen for a reason, and that if we stick to our faith, because I am a faith-based person, to know that there's a bigger reason than to ask why is it happening, say, particularly to my family, because, my mother's also facing lung cancer, and my dad had a little bout with skin cancer last year. I think that question is a dangerous question, because if you go down that path, it could take you to a really dark place. And when you're facing cancer and you're facing the difficulties of that if you go there, you could lose yourself in all the negativity. So I try to look at it more from the basis of what is this about, and how can we learn from it, and how can we get stronger from it, and what is the good that can come out of the really challenging, dark, having lost a brother was really, one of the toughest things I had to face in my life. And it was just, it's a tough question. Yeah,
I certainly didn't mean to put you on the spot. It's just human reaction is when you have these challenges, it's normal for people to say, well, why me, or how could this happen? not to dwell on it, but that's just a human reaction. I mean, we all have to face challenges. And Linda, for those tuning in this morning, and I hope we hopefully raise a lot of awareness and people buy your beautiful book, Canvas of Hope. What's your website, Linda, for folks that want to reach out to you and donate?
Sure. It's called canvasofhope.org, and there you could read a little bit more about our story. You could see the book. We also have a poem and a poster, and we'll be having some events, and hopefully we're going to have an event up in New Jersey. We'll pay special attention to social distancing and all of that, but we'll be sure to share that information.
Right. So in terms of your journey, and obviously we're contemporaries, and life does have mysterious twists and turns, and you get clobbered sometimes in life. I've been clobbered, and it happens. The bigger thing is how you lift yourself up, how you keep on going on. And I didn't mean to say that you dwelled on what you've gone through, because you obviously have done a lot in your life, and you keep on trucking, and you came up with a book. And one of the things, in preparation for the show today, Linda, I was thinking about it. It's a beautiful book, Canvas of Hope. I got to show it again. I'm going to show it a few times during the show. But one of the things is it's about hope and inspiration, and that's what my show is about, is lifting others up. And it's about rising above life's challenges. And once again, I mean, we talk about life, and things happen, and sometimes it's great and sometimes it's horrible, but you got to keep on living, and you learn and you grow. And that was one of the wonderful things about the book. And you also put in the dedication section, which I really rang true, is you're not alone. So walk us through, I know you touched a little bit about your beloved brother, Eddie, and you lost him in 2018, but tell us some things about, your brother, Ed, because I remember Ed as an athlete. I mean, he was a great baseball player growing up in Springfield. I certainly remember him. Tell us about your late brother, Eddie, and what he was about and what he stood for in his family.
Wow, Eddie was like no other person you've ever met. He was actually brilliant and had a sense of humor, and was a great athlete. He always amazed me. He could take his motorcycle. He used to like to go dirtbag riding down in the quarry, and he would come home. He'd take that Yamaha motorcycle apart, and there would be like 500 parts of the motorcycle spread out all over the garage. He would meticulously clean every single piece of that motorbike and put it back together, and the thing would work. That was the amazing thing, is like, where did he get that mechanical mind to be able to do something like that? So he was definitely a great older brother, and taught me how to, shoot a jump shot, and how to catch a softball, and how to throw, not like a girl, because when we were out front of the house, teaching me how to throw a baseball, a softball, it was like, get your body into it. And he really taught me how to embody my physicality, which I don't think many girls are taught that. They're not really taught on how to do that. And I was fortunate to have, him as an older brother, as well as my other, 3 brothers who were also great athletes. And, but Eddie had a smile and a twinkle that, he was always doing something, even maybe a little mischievous, that, some things that he would do around the neighborhood, which I won't get into, but he definitely had a sense of humor. And he ran the New Jersey Marlins. He started this. It's a highly competitive all-boys travel baseball team, which is opening up soon up there in New Jersey. And he would take these young men, teach them how to play baseball competitively. And he was a mentor and a coach to so many athletes. And his son Jared now has taken over the family business and is running the New Jersey Marlins, and has left an incredible legacy for his son to continue to grow and for him to nurture and mentor upcoming, athletes. So he definitely had a sense of humor and a way about him. And
right. I know he's an incredible athlete, and the Marlins certainly a tremendous legacy, and his son's following through. In terms of his, he was married, right? He had, and obviously he left so many, people behind. They were certainly heartbroken. He touched a lot of lives. And what did you see in his character when, sadly, he was diagnosed with the brain tumor in terms of his fight and his spirit and his determination?
He was amazing, just an amazing person, going through such struggles. And I used to try to go up to New Jersey to visit him every week or every other week. It's about 3.5-hour drive. I'd drive up and maybe bring some groceries, sit with him for a little bit, and then drive back home to Virginia. And, he never stopped. He always, did everything he could possibly do. And he's one of the more fortunate ones, if you could believe it or not, that the glioblastoma tumor usually will take somebody within 12 months. And he was fortunate. He lived 30 months and received a couple immunotherapy treatments that helped to extend his life that come out of blood cancer research. But my sister-in-law, Denise, absolutely was amazing. He was his rock. She took such excellent care of him, and I can't thank her enough for everything that she did. And to know that my brother lived the best that he could in those last 30 months of his life, and surrounded by his beautiful, loving wife of 30 years and his, 2 children, Jared and Gabriella. And he was a fighter, and he had that sense of humor all the way till the end, and that smile.
Right, he was a handsome man. I mean, in your book, Canvas of Hope, which I urge everyone to buy, and for Linda, the folks that want to buy the book, Canvas of Hope, what does the book cost to just purchase this?
The book costs $45, and the large percent of the proceeds will go to LLS, to the Leukemia Lymphoma Society. As you mentioned earlier, I was nominated by he's the president and CEO of the Northern Virginia Builders Industry Association, the former Greater Reston Chamber of Commerce CEO and president. He ran 2 years ago, and then tried to nominate me for 2019, and it was honestly too soon after the death of Eddie to jump into something that is such a commitment. And so we're out to raise $150,000, and through that we're hoping to sell 10,000 books. So
that's a big goal, but I love people that dream big and have big goals. So I'm sorry, what was the name of the individual that nominated you?
His name is Mark Ingrao, and if you open up to the back of the book, you'll see on the inside acknowledgments, you'll see that the Leukemia Lymphoma Society, the national capital affiliations, and I named him the nominator. So, wow. Man, Woman of the Year nominator, Mark Ingrao. So he lost his dad to leukemia.
I'm sorry to hear about that. Yeah, cancer's touched so many wonderful people, and it always leaves an indelible mark on people's lives. But like we were talking about, how do you honor that legacy? In terms of your embarking on this book, because it must be a lot to figure out how to go about it. Were you nervous to try to create a book? Had you ever done a book before?
No, I never. I always wanted to write a book, but never had the get up and go to get it done. And so I was working. I want to put a little shout out to a woman. Her name is Tamara Wolf, and she has a coaching business. And it was through her coaching. Her company is called Full Spectrum Coaching, and we started to coach in December because I wanted to get ready for what it was that I was going to embark upon. And I aligned myself with a team of people, including Tamara as a coach, to help me to get the mindset in order to, raise $150,000. That's a lot of money. So we started coaching, and through some of the exercises and practices that I was doing, what came to mind was to write a book. It just came to me. I'm going to write a book as a vehicle for helping to raise money. And that's how that idea came into mind. And then it was, a series of things that happened, and we were able to get a book together in literally 4 months, which is everybody I spoke to back in January was like, there's no way, you don't have enough time. So we forged ahead, and we, created this Canvas of Hope.
It's an incredible book. I mean, it's really well done, and it's a really inspirational thing to thumb through and read about what it's really the meaning behind it. I was thinking about, this concept of Canvas of Hope. I'm not an artist, to say the least. I have trouble with this stick figure, I'm embarrassed to say. That part of the brain, whatever part that is, I must have been absent that day because I have no idea. I respect people that have the artistic ability. I don't know. Something happened. I guess it just hasn't really sunk in that part of the brain. But I really respect and I admire art, and the idea of a canvas being a blank slate. You start out with a piece of paper. It's blank. And you create something. And I understand for a lot of folks, they find art to be very therapeutic. Before you embarked on this book, did you also look at art as a way to be therapeutic in whatever you were going through?
Yes. In fact, that is one of the aspects of the book is that it is that art is therapeutic. And in our foreword written by Jody Tomtros, she teaches mindfulness painting, which is pretty wonderful. And in fact, the painting that I submitted for the book was actually done in her class back in January. And essentially what you do is you stand in front of a blank canvas, and you don't need so this would be perfect for you, Todd. You don't need any artistic talent. You just have a blank canvas, and you have some paintbrushes and paint. And maybe you're drawn to the various different colors of the paint, and you start with that. And then you'll be amazed at what you'll be, created without any judgment as to whether it's good or bad. It just is. And when I did my little painting back in January, I had no idea what I was about ready to come up with.
Yeah, you might inspire me. I'm sure my friends will bust my chops. They'll come out with easels and some paintbrushes and maybe a few refreshments as well. But no, like I said, that's a really beautiful thing, because I do know, folks that really are into the art world and artists, and even people that have no artistic ability, somehow it does bring out from the pain, you create something beautiful. Linda, we're going to take a very short break and be back in 30 seconds.
The Todd Leonard Show is sponsored by the Leonard Foundation, whose mission is to support the children and families who are battling pediatric cancer and those in need of food and assistance, women's shelters, and other important social services in the community. They also proudly support those fighting pancreatic cancer. They feel it's vitally important to help those in need in our amazing community when they need us the most. Please join them in extending a helping hand and go to leonardcharity.org and donate now. Together, we can touch many lives.
Thank you, everyone, for coming back. We have Linda Graziano, created the Canvas of Hope. I urge everyone to visit her website at the canvasofhope.org and donate and get this wonderful book. So, Linda, I was thinking, about the book and about the show, which is really highlighting folks like yourself that are making the world better, making a difference, lifting up others. And through the book, I notice really the idea of insight and gaining strength from going through this journey. The other thing that I was thinking about is this concept of a canvas. Now, I know we talked about canvas being something an artist might work with, certainly, but also the canvas of life. I don't know if you follow boxing or martial arts or whatever, but there's also the canvas where people get knocked down. And the question is, are you going to get up? Are you going to get up and you're going to fight? Are you going to get up and live? Or are you going to crawl in a ball? And with you, you got up off the canvas. I know we're talking about the canvas of art, but also the canvas of life. So in terms of your journey and what you've been able to do, what are your thoughts? I mean, you've embarked on this book, and it's a beautiful book. In terms of how it's a healing process for you, too, because, I mean, you lost the treasure, your beloved brother, Eddie. What do you think about that?
Yeah, definitely. I think, I've had my fair share of knocks, been married and divorced a couple of times, so that in and of itself has been, can knock you out pretty steadily. And, I've started a couple businesses, and a couple businesses have failed. And, so you just got to keep getting up. And I have to say that this pandemic is enough to knock down people. As you know, we started the book, we first kind of dubbed it, helping families facing cancer. But through the pandemic, it became more apparent that there are a lot of people who are suffering on a multitude of levels, mentally, emotionally, physically, not being able to, get to, say, doctor's appointments, and then, of course, financially. So people are being hit on a number of different levels. So what we did was we sort of shifted the book to be focused in on helping to rise above life's challenges, and knowing that if we can tap into the good, the inherent good, and it started with the words. So back in January, I came up with a list of positive words that would be, words to focus in on instead of all the negative things. So we came up with the list. I checked it. I didn't finish. I don't think I shared the story about, how my sister-in-law, who was married to my brother, how we got the art all together, but it was a collaboration. And I think that when I look at how we pulled this whole thing together, it is about getting up, but it is about community. It is about connecting with people who mean something to you, so that way you can come together, because together we can create so much more positive influences in the world. And my sister-in-law, Denise, took the words and she gave each of her art students, she teaches art after school in her art studio in her home, and she gave each of her 30 students one word, and that's how they then created the word, the picture, and then they were asked to do a little sentence. So when you think about the amount of people who helped to create this book, that in and of itself, knowing that there's a community to draw upon, that no matter what, be it financial, difficulties, divorces, cancer, whatever that is, that together, if we can unite, it helps to bring forward the best in everyone. And so the words that we've created are words that you can actually look and draw strength from. So our first word of the book is faith. You have to have faith, and the sentence for that is, I have faith in all good things. So it gets your mind to think about the positive things as opposed to, what am I going to do because I can't pay my bills, which is a reality. We don't want to take that away. But if you have faith and you believe and you could take those steps necessary to get off the canvas, and so that you could take those steps to move forward. So the book is really a journal, and it's a journey. So when you asked me the question about art being a healing factor, yes, art is absolutely 100% a way to heal, because what we can't necessarily express in words, sometimes we can better express them through pictures. But the book is also a journal, which we also know that journaling is also an effective way of healing with, negative challenges and difficulties. So through the both of them, bringing in the pictures and the words, you're actually healing the whole brain, the left brain and the right brain. When you bring words and art together, you can then create a better outcome for yourself. And starting with who we are is where we begin. And then we go to what we do, because it's important that we do. And through this whole pandemic for the last 3 months, having this project, getting the book out, we've also done a summit, we've done a poem and a song. By doing and keeping the focus moving forward has helped me to transform the pain of being alone, the pain of having lost a loved one, the pain of facing, whatever is going to happen once we go, quote, back to normal, and knowing that through this whole process, I feel transformed and that I'm giving something good to the world. So I think that the lessons are still being learned, that community, focusing on doing, helping others, and wherever you put your mind and your attention, that's where your energy is going to go. So you could choose to put your energy on something negative, and that's going to keep you in a negative state, or you could focus in on what is the good in this and how can I move forward. And to know, no matter what, all the listeners out there, you are not alone. And know that, truly know that no matter what the difficulties might be, that you're not alone.
Right. I mean, these are really powerful concepts, Linda, and God bless you for really putting this together. And you said a few things that I think really resonate, certainly with me and hopefully the audience, which is the power of words and the positive thinking. If you dwell on negativity, if you dwell on all your problems, well, it's hard to lift yourself out of it. If you see something that is going to be transformative, is going to lift you up, and we all go through battles. We all have scars. Some people, you can see them, and some people have them deep inside. The question is, how do you go from there? You have a beautiful poem, the Journey to Transformation poem, and there's a lot of different words in there that you have. I always think about my late parents. I mean, I was blessed. They were incredible. And like I said, sadly, I lost them to the dreaded disease. And I think about how they lived their lives, and I think about their spirit and how they lived even battling illnesses. And I always thought about how strong and the power of the belief, of the faith and the hope. And what you're saying is you're encouraging folks, as difficult as it could be, is you have to have hope. You have to believe. You're not alone. There's other people going through the same stuff. Are there certain words that just stand out in your mind, Linda, that are kind of something you might repeat to yourself as just to boost up your spirits and your belief system?
Oh, that's a beautiful question.
Sometimes I got good questions. It only happens a few times a show, but it does happen.
I just have to take a pause. You ask amazing questions, and you were excellent at this. And last week when I watched the Marty Lyons show, I was so blown away by the power of what you are doing and the good that you're bringing out into the world. And you're stepping out and bringing together a canvas. Canvas could be this community that you're bringing together. It's really, truly beautiful, and you do such an amazing job at it. So I'm very, very grateful.
Well, listen, thank you, and you made me really smart for bringing you on the show, since I just got a nice shout-out from you. So that was really nice. I have to say, Marty Lyons blew me away as well. His humanity and what he stands for is, incredible. So, and just if I may, not to cut you off, but since you're so kind to me, I was driving come to the show this morning, and there was someone talking about fear, how fear keeps you from doing things, and I'm like, for me, I never did a radio show before. I'm a trial lawyer. What do I know about a radio show? But I'm like I want to do it. I want to lift up others. I want to bring great people on like yourself, lift up the community, and also maybe heal folks that are going through some hard times, and show there's some wonderful, people out there. And I got to think with your situation, Linda, you embarked on writing a book. You never did it before. And bam, there you are. You got the canvas of hope. And it's a beautiful book, and you're helping others. So I just want to say that it's pretty remarkable what you're doing. But I didn't mean to cut you off in terms of what we were just discussing about words and about the power of it.
it's that what you're doing. It's that what calls you forward to allow what's internally in your heart to be externally expressed for all to see. And I have to say, with writing this book, and I had to be careful, what did I write? I needed it to be from my perspective and not to share and divulge too much of my other siblings and their stories without, considering that and feeling very vulnerable. Like, doing a summit where I have, you could still sign up for the summit. It's on our registration events page on our website. But when you put yourself out there, like on your way thinking, into the studio this morning and stepping out of that fear, because fear is nothing more than false evidence appearing real. And, fear can stop you from doing, almost anything. But it's to know what is it that's bringing you forward. And I think to answer your question about what words out of these beautiful 38 words that our book is made up of is passion. You have to have that passion to be able to know that what it is that you want to do, you can actually do. So it really starts with faith and believing and having that passion. But I think one of the two really important things, and I practice it every day, is forgiveness and gratitude. And it would be amazed at when we hold resentment and anger and other negative sort of feelings about other people. But so much of it is that we turn it internally, so we have to forgive ourselves as well, that we can forgive those who hurt us, and we can also forgive ourselves for whatever it is that we might have done, maybe a bad decision or something, whatever it might be. And it's to also then be really, truly grateful. And these are ways to manifest what you want to bring into your life, is to be grateful for everything that you have and not to be so focused in on on the things that you don't have. But once you start to have gratitude for everything you have in your life, you'll be amazed at how much more abundance you have that you might not have looked, because you're so focused in on, what it is that you don't have. That glass is half empty. Somehow, if you could see that glass is half full, there'll be more fullness.
Yeah, Linda, you say so many wonderful things this morning, and this book, The Journey to Transformation poem, what you have in there is really incredible. In the poem, it talks about passion to understand as a ballerina's feet understand that life is a dance. And, when I was like, everybody internalizes like, well, what about me? How is this impacting my life? And today we're talking about cancer and how it touches lives, but also people have to go on and honor and carry on that legacy. And I thought about my parents so much, over this weekend, especially knowing you were joining us. And I remember my dad many times saying, you got to run your race. You can't look at other people's plates. You got to look at your own. So many people get caught up on what the Joneses have, what my neighbor has, what someone else has. You just got to do your thing. You say, praise them for what they're doing, but do your own thing and make yourself happy. And also, people are going to do some rotten things to you, but you got to forgive them. And you also, like you said, you got to be very grateful for what you have. I start out the morning, I pray. I go to bed, I pray for certain things. And I find that very comforting. And I think it's a nice way to start and end the day as well, because you have to believe and you got to have hope. So you started the book and you put it together, and you talked about your team of people that have helped you. What is that like, Linda, from your perspective, to know not only you're not alone, but you have so many other people that you could count on to help you on your journey?
Amazing. Amazing when you open up to the back page of the book, and you'll see that I have a Canvas of Hope team, and that's 30 people. And then I have special shout-outs and acknowledgments to about 10 people. And then all the people from LLS, and then the special thanks to the Stacy McGuire, who actually did the design and layout of the book, who's an amazing person. Her company is IDEA. She works with people all over. She's in advertising and design studio. And then I have a friend, Song Bay, who did the website, all the digital marketing that he's helped and supported. And then my friend Mary Sue Dayhill of Work Smarter Digital, who's amazing. She has an incredible CRM, that is a customer relationship management software. It's amazing how much technology went into this, and those three shout-outs to Stacy, Song, and Mary Sue for getting all of the digital stuff. That is just amazing. And then if you look to the far right, you'll see my sister-in-law's company, which is called Scribble and Sculpt, and they're in Manalapan, New Jersey. And she has 30 art students. So when you look at the totality of all the people who have a hand in this, you're looking at 70 or so people who had involvement with this canvas of hope. So I feel empowered, which is another one of our grateful words here on the list. Empowerment is our decision to do what we need to do to be whole, and knowing that having that courage and the whole group of people is just like, I have a whole team. This is amazing. Really, truly. And look at you. You're reaching out to me to support this effort, which is truly amazing. And I just want to say I'm very sorry for the loss of your parents. And your dad sounds like a very wise man.
Oh, my dad was the best. I mean, I have to say, one of the great things is when I go to court, and a lot of the judges remember my dad and the other lawyers, and just the friends that my dad and mom made over the years. They touched a lot of lives as well. But, you go on and you do your best to honor their memories. I mean, that's just life. I mean, you're going to, like you said, get clobbered and you keep on popping along. But you certainly, never forget life's lessons. So both my mom and dad were certainly incredible. Thank you, though. I mean, obviously, you have lost too, and that's just, you got to keep on going on, and that's why I find your story so compelling, Linda, because you're sharing also some very sad parts of your life, and no one's perfect. Everybody, who thinks they're perfect, they have no idea then what it's all about, because everybody goes through stuff. Everybody has stuff in the basement, junk, if I may, but it's how you live your life. So in turn, and you're right, you have an incredible team, and that's really, it's great you give shout out, because, you're doing it, but you have a lot of people behind you. One of the things that I was thinking about is, this is your first book, Canvas of Hope, and you're touching lives. You set a goal to raise $150,000, to sell a lot of books. You want to sell many books. I love people that set big goals. I had Chris Mazzarella on from Parsippany, and in the depths of COVID-19, they wanted to raise $50,000 to basically feed the first responders, show the healthcare workers love and respect, and they exceeded that. So I love people that have lofty goals, because if your goals are too low, what's the fun of that? You got to really go after it. In terms of your thought process at this point, you're doing it. You're touching so many lives. What's going to be the next thing for you, Linda? Do you put any thought to that?
Yeah, actually, I really loved this whole Canvas of Hope, and it was an inspiration, and inspiration is really just that spirit coming in and being open to it. So, when we talk about, like what you said, those daily practices about prayer, pray, give gratitude and forgiveness. And that's like a really great recipe. I do it in the morning and I do it in the evening. And I think that when we are quiet enough to know what our next steps are, then we can take those next steps. And I have to say that Canvas of Hope has brought me to life in a new way, and thinking, okay, what can I do? I really enjoyed doing the summit. I interviewed 17 people in 2 weeks, and there are 15 segments that are part of that summit. And I have the three CEO and presidents of the Chambers of Commerce's. I have some highly inspirational people, and I really enjoyed doing those interviews, and I got a lot out of it. And I felt that it was a way, much like what you're doing, is allowing people to bring their stories forward. And I love that where you are also raising money for your cause, and so is Marty, and so am I. That to know that there is enough to go around, and that we can help. And I will be making a donation to Marty because I want those kids to be able to have what he's trying to do to help them. And I think that if we all pitch in, it makes it so much easier. So I'm thinking, I've set up a YouTube channel, Canvas of Hope. Who knows, maybe we'll turn that into a real channel and grow the subscribers there. And maybe there's another book. Maybe next year there's a book that the art is all done by children who are facing cancer. And maybe we could do an annual edition or something like that, where I could, continue with this and bringing that piece out into the world.
Well, I think it's wonderful what you do, and Linda. And, obviously you talked about Marty Lyons, as we're on the same page with that. We're both preaching to the choir. Just incredible. I mean, he's been able to grant wishes to very, very sick kids, terminal illnesses, one, sometimes a second wish. He was telling us last week about one of the wishes was the kid back in the 80s wanted a camcorder. That's just reality of just, kids want to live, and sadly they're very ill. But God bless Marty, and God bless what you're doing too, Linda. You mentioned about the summit and interviewing people. If somebody wants to listen to those interviews, how do they go about doing that?
Sure, they go to canvasofhope.org, and they'll go to events, and they'll see the summit. And they could click on that, and they could register. I believe that as the summit is coming, going through the process, I think we're on day 7, that they are probably available on, and I say probably because I'm learning all about all this technology. It's been a huge learning curve for me. So using YouTube and setting up a channel, as they are released day to day, then they are available on YouTube, our Canvas of Hope channel.
Right. So then that's great. I mean, I just want people that are listening, if they want to listen to your interviews. And, it's interesting because I do interviews now on my radio show, and you're interviewing people. And it's really fascinating to learn from whoever you're speaking with. Like I'm learning from you today and everybody that's been on so far. It's a really wonderful experience because I grow as a person, and hopefully the audience also enjoys learning more about someone else's journey. And then maybe they could say, well, wait a minute, that's motivating me, or I could relate, or I know someone that would really benefit from it. Because I also believe, Linda, that everybody's lives are connected. There's a fabric of the community, and everybody goes through things. And so for today, we're talking about cancer and lifting ourselves up despite, let's say, losing a loved one. And I have other guests on that have gone through other things in their life, and hopefully someone listening could get a little comfort from that, to know that they're not alone, because I think that's important. Now, I'm not going to show off, but I'm going to try to say a Latin term because it was on something you sent me, which is Maximus Decimus Meritus. It was in the Gladiator movie. Do you remember what that meant?
Yes, absolutely. So in terms of motivating my team of 30 people, as you can imagine, it's challenging. People are pulled in a lot of different directions, especially now with the pandemic, and people's focus may not be so much on cancer, but on supporting our first responders or people in the community who don't have a means to feed their family. So Maximus Decimus Meridius in the movie Gladiator, if you remember, he's sitting on his horse, and he shouts out to his troops as they're about ready to go to battle, and he says, "Men, what we do today will echo in eternity." So what that means to me is what we're doing today, what we're giving of our heart and souls, makes it a ripple effect into tomorrow and the day after, and so on and so on. So be super mindful of what it is that we're creating, because what we're creating for the future, we're doing right now today. So I encourage people to step up today, because tomorrow is when it's going to be felt the most impacted. And some of the statistics with what the Leukemia Lymphoma Society have done are astonishing. 50 years ago, a kid with leukemia, lymphoblastic leukemia, had like a 4 or 5% chance of living. Today, that same child has like over a 90% chance of survival rate. So it's important to know that what we're putting in today is going to help tomorrow. And that goes for everything, our thinking, our behaviors, and so on, that we can do today that's going to make a long-lasting impact for tomorrow.
No, Linda, I mean, those words, I butchered the pronunciation, so I apologize for anybody that taught me.
You did great.
But the point is that what you do does have impact on others, and you lead by example. You do the best you can, and it's very motivational, those words. It's kind of a la, Robin Williams, seize the day and to take advantage of the day, because each day is a blessing. And some people don't appreciate that. And some people live in regrets, like you stepped out, you put the canvas of Hope book together, and I think it's wonderful. I really urge everyone to visit your website and to buy the book. I think it makes a great read. And you can also color. You could draw in. You can be an artist, too. And I'm certainly going to do my best to maybe work on my artistic skills. But the point, Linda, is what you've done is really incredible. I'm so happy you were able to join us this morning. Do you have anything else you want to tell the listeners in terms of your advice if someone's facing cancer or facing a hard time?
For anyone who's facing a hard time in cancer, be it yourself or in your family, is to continue to have faith and believe, and to know that there's a bigger message in everything, and to look for that, and to know that my brother Eddie, who, as you know, passed away, his wife submitted a beautiful piece of mosaic artwork for the book, and her word is life. And here's a woman who lost her husband, and she quotes my brother as saying, Eddie used to say life is a gift, and to know that every day and every moment is a gift, and to make the most of it, and to choose where you want to put your attention, and to focus in on all the wonderful things that you have in your life.
That's beautiful, Linda. And obviously your late brother would be proud. I'm sure, what you're doing is certainly honoring his legacy. You've touched a lot of people. You touched my heart. And I obviously wish you the very best with Canvas of Hope. And I just say keep on doing your thing. You're really a blessing. So thank you so much for joining us this morning, Linda. And I just wanted to also just say for the listeners, visit canvasofhope.org and get this wonderful book. The other thing that I wanted just to say is next week we're going to go into the world of golf. There was a former professional caddy, Russell Holden, that'll be joining us. He created Caddy for a Cure and done some other remarkable things. We'll talk about golf, but more importantly, we're going to talk about his wonderful causes that he supports and all the things he's doing to lift up the community. So I just want to say, everyone, we are in this together. People like Linda Graziano exemplifies the best out there. Let's remember to take care of each other, be kind, be generous, give from the heart. Remember, each day is a blessing. I hope you tune in next week. God bless.